He had never been the kind of man who made people feel intimidated. At least, that was what everyone in the Cole family had always believed. Laughter suddenly echoed through the elegant seaside wedding hall in Charleston as Derek Cole raised his glass toward his cousin. Nathan Cole remained seated quietly at the far end of the table. A simple shirt. A calm expression. No expensive watch. No luxury car waiting outside. No impressive success stories being proudly displayed. To many of his relatives, he looked like an ordinary man who had been absent from the family for far too long. That evening was supposed to be a celebration of the bride and groom's happiness. But as usual, Derek quickly turned himself into the center of every conversation. He talked about his latest business contracts, his luxury vacations, his deals that left people impressed and admiring. Every story was followed by words of praise and approval. A few seats away, Nathan simply listened in silence. He did not argue. He did not interrupt. That silence only seemed to encourage Derek even more. Turning toward Nathan with a knowing smile, he asked, "What about you? What have you been doing overseas all these years?" Nathan took a sip of water before answering, "Just work." The simple response drew a few laughs from the table. Derek leaned back in his chair. "You look more like an accountant than someone who ever served in the military." The laughter returned. Several relatives nodded in agreement. Nathan remained completely calm. Ironically, that calmness only made Derek want to push the conversation further. He asked whether Nathan had ever been through a truly dangerous situation. Nathan looked out through the window toward the dark ocean beyond. For a few seconds, nobody knew what he was thinking. Then he answered quietly, "Enough to remember for a lifetime." The atmosphere shifted for a brief moment, but Derek quickly broke the silence. "If you were really a soldier, you must have had some kind of nickname, right?" This time, Nathan slowly lifted his head. There was something strangely steady in his eyes. He spoke only a single word, "Reaper." At that exact moment, a chair from a nearby table scraped sharply across the floor. An older man rose to his feet. Shock was written all over his face. He stared at Nathan as though he had just seen a ghost step out of the past. And for the first time that night, every trace of laughter disappeared from the room. The entire room fell silent. The older man slowly walked toward the Cole family's table. He did not look at Derek. He did not look at anyone else. His eyes remained fixed on Nathan. In that moment, Nathan let out a quiet sigh, as if he had always known that sooner or later, this day would come. The stranger introduced himself as Frank Dawson, a retired Marine who had left the service many years earlier. Pulling out a chair, he sat down directly across from Nathan. His voice was low, but unwavering. "I thought that name disappeared a long time ago." Derek forced out an awkward laugh, hoping to break the tension. This time, nobody laughed with him. Frank continued by asking Nathan a few brief questions. Names of distant places, call signs that nobody else in the room recognized. Nathan answered with equally short replies, and with every answer, the expression on Frank's face changed. By the end, the retired Marine simply nodded. There was no doubt left. "It really is you." Curiosity spread across the room. Several relatives pulled out their phones and began searching, but almost nothing appeared. Nathan seemed to have never existed in any news report. He had never appeared in the media. That only made the mystery surrounding him even deeper. Then Frank began telling a story about an operation that had taken place years earlier in a conflict zone overseas. A special operations team had become trapped. The situation had spiraled beyond control. Many believed that nobody would make it out alive. But one person had turned around and gone back into the danger, ignoring every warning, refusing to leave anyone behind. He returned with the last members of his team. Frank looked directly at Nathan. That man was Reaper. Not because he spread fear, but because he always appeared when hope had already disappeared. The smile finally vanished from Derek's face. The cousin who had spent the entire evening mocking Nathan now sat completely still. For the first time in his life, he realized that the quiet man sitting across from him might be carrying a story far greater than anyone in that room could possibly imagine. No one spoke for several long seconds afterward. The music still drifted through the ballroom. The soft clinking of glasses could still be heard in the background, but at the Cole family table, everything seemed to have changed. Derek looked at Nathan, the man he had mocked less than an hour earlier, the man he had always believed was nothing special. Finally, Derek broke the silence. His voice was far quieter than before. Everything, he said. Was it true? Every eye immediately turned toward Nathan. Everyone was waiting for an answer. A confirmation. A heroic story. A moment that would explain everything. But Nathan remained silent. He gazed through the window at the lights, reflecting across the dark waters beyond the shore. After a moment, he finally spoke. People often think strength is the ability to make others afraid. He paused. But it isn't. Real strength is staying calm when everyone around you is panicking. It is making the right decision when nobody knows what will happen next. It is bringing everyone home safely, if you still can. The entire table fell silent. Frank Dawson gave a slow nod. He understood those words better than anyone else in the room. Because those who had lived through such moments knew the truth. Behind every story that gets told are memories no one wishes to relive a second time. A few moments later, Derek stood up. The expression on his face had completely changed. The arrogance was gone. The mocking laughter was gone. Only sincerity remained. "I'm sorry," Nathan smiled. It was a small smile, but enough to soften the atmosphere around them. When the wedding reception finally came to an end, Frank approached Nathan one last time and offered his hand. "Thank you for the things that most people will never know about." Then he walked away. Later that night, beneath the pale yellow glow of the parking lot lights, Derek walked beside Nathan in silence. Just before they reached their cars, he asked one final question. Was he really serious? Nathan looked at his cousin for a few seconds and quietly smiled. This time, he offered no explanation. He simply gave a short reply. "What do you think?" And for the first time in many years, Derek understood that the strongest people are often the ones who never feel the need to prove who they are.